Grassroots Initiative held a demonstration in Bangor today in support of the Palestinian people. Locals gathered in Pierce Memorial Park to oppose the ongoing Israeli occupation of Palestine. Their message demanded a free Palestine and a peace that is based on justice. Protesters said they mourn all of those who have been killed, both Palestinians and Israelis, and their protest is solely for working towards a lasting and just peace.
I saw what was going on in the wake of the horrible actions taken by Hamas, and Israel's response was, and it has now become clear, yet another round of bombing and murder, and it would appear ethnic cleansing. No, we do not support Hamas. It's not a pro-Hamas demonstration. We condemn what happened, as I said. We are for peace and justice in Palestine. We want an end to the Israeli occupation, and we do not support the reprehensible actions that were taken by Hamas.
The demonstration was not sponsored or affiliated with any organization.